Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the State of the Town Address. Well, at this time, it's my distinct pleasure to introduce our mayor. A Wake Forest resident since 1981, Mayor Vivian Jones was elected to the Wake Forest Board of Commissioners in 1999. After serving 2 years on the board, she was elected mayor in 2001. Mayor Jones is now serving her 5th term, making her Wake Forest's longest-serving mayor. The former chair of the Electricity's Board of Directors and the North Carolina Mayors Association, she is the current member of the Go Triangle Board of Trustees. Thank you. Keep working on that transportation and traffic. She's fabulous. We love her. We love seeing her around town, and she really has the best of Wake Forest at heart. So thank you. With that, I would like to have Mayor Jones come to the podium. Thank you.
"2020, a new decade." At the town board retreat last month, I shared some thoughts about this new decade that we have entered. In a conversation with Chamber President Ann Welton a couple of months ago, she was talking about the fact that we are entering another 20s decade. And so I looked up the Roaring Twenties, as the 1920s was known, to find out exactly why it was given that designation. And what I learned was interesting. The 1920s was a time of widespread social and economic change. There was new mass production and labor-saving devices. There was easy credit and a rising consumer society. The culture of self thrived. It was the time of the new woman. Women had just earned the right to vote, and they wore short skirts and bobbed hair. And they had unprecedented freedom with new appliances that took away some of the drudgery of their housekeeping. And they smoked and drank with the best of them. The more I looked at the 1920s, the more I realized that we have come full circle. We are certainly now in a time of unprecedented social change. There's very little objectivity now, and traditional social pillars are cast aside as unnecessary and unwanted. I believe Henry Ford would be amazed to see how far mass production has come and robots have reinvented labor-saving devices. I think we've actually passed the 1920s in becoming a self-centered society. Social media has allowed us to spout off ugly comments nonstop, and we seem to love complaining and blaming the other fella. I think maybe the world just needs a Snickers bar. Despite all of that, I want to assure you that your town board and your town staff are concentrating on our strategic plan. And we're looking for this to be a wonderful decade of going forward and keeping our community vibrant and resilient. 2019 was a year of construction. It was sometimes hard to get around town because of all the road work that was being done. And now we see the results, which was worth the wait. What a difference it has made on South Main Street, and Festival Street is beautiful. We had so much fun with the snow slide at the lighting of Wake Forest. And Stadium Drive is much easier to manage and much safer for our high school students. We are excited about all the residential additions to downtown and look forward to the positive impact on our downtown businesses. We have to continue to improve the walkability for our downtown residents. And with 22% of our downtown undeveloped, we have the opportunity to seamlessly incorporate new development, both residential and commercial, into our historic downtown, keeping it at the centerpiece of activity in our community. We're so excited to have Joyner Park Community Center completed. If you remember, we promised we would build a facility that reflects the character of the park, and we did. Everyone comments on how beautifully it fits into the park. We're having record use of the facility. I was told that we have had over 1,000 non-residents sign up to use the facility. Reuben told me that one gentleman told him that he didn't mind paying the $25 for the card to use the facility, but he thinks we owe him $50 a month for gas because his wife makes him drive over from Wakefield 4 times a week. Of course, you know, stuff happens and the center's going to be closed for a couple of weeks now so that we can redo the lines on the gym floor. The finish has such a strong odor that we cannot have people in the building during this time, so I'm sorry, but it'll be open again in a couple of weeks. Having Holding Park Aquatic Center open for a full year of enjoyment was greatly anticipated last summer, and it certainly fulfilled the anticipation. We had over 20,000 visits to the pool last summer, and this year I'm sure it's going to be busier. And the Senior Center opened earlier this month after a year and a half of renovation. Our seniors have been very patient, but they were so excited to finally get back, and the new facility is absolutely beautiful. I walked in the door and I was astounded. The lobby is open and airy and welcoming. All of the classrooms are cheerful colors with lots of natural light and plenty of room. I understand there was a waiting line the day they opened to get in. And we're going to be having a grand opening in March, so you can all go see it. And it's important for me to mention now about how wonderful our community has been during this renovation. We had so many partners that allowed our programs to continue. Churches and senior living facilities, as well as town facilities, were used to keep every single senior center program going on. I'm sure there's not another town anywhere that would be able to sustain a program like that for almost 2 years without a facility. There just are not words to describe the commitment to our community that we find from organizations like the Lodge at Wake Forest Presbyterian Church, the Brookdale Senior Living, and the Cadence at Wake Forest, which was formerly the Carillon. I'd like for all of our Senior Center Advisory Board members to please stand up right now. I want you to know that these folks worked really hard to keep everyone informed and involved under the direction of their chair, Jetski Ensinger. And thank you all for keeping that going like you did. And I was going to talk a little bit about Launch Wake Forest, but Rich talked about that, so I won't add to that except to tell you that the town is really proud to be a partner in Launch Wake Forest. This is just one more way that the Rotary Club invests in our town. We believe in the value of entrepreneurs. Small business is the backbone of our community. We spend so much time pursuing large companies, and they do make a difference, but sometimes they also cost us. I like to believe that the time and effort spent helping small businesses to thrive is well worth the effort and benefit to our community. The world is changing, and the world of business is also changing. For example, in 1990, the 3 largest companies in the United States were in Detroit. They were worth $250 billion, and they hired 1.2 million people. Today, there's a bunch of little companies in Silicon Valley, and they're worth about $250 billion, and they hire 137,000 people. Entrepreneurs are essential to creating a vibrant, equitable, and sustainable community. We will continue to do everything we can to help and encourage entrepreneurs in Wake Forest. And continuing with that theme, I wanted to share some of the things going on at the Wireless Research Center of North Carolina. The Wireless Center is a nonprofit organization supporting clients globally with engineering services and testing communication technologies. It began a few years ago with a small grant and a loan from the town of Wake Forest, and a grant from the Golden Leaf Foundation. They have made a tremendous footprint in the technology space all over the world, and they are pioneers in working on advanced mobility. The Triangle is arguably the center in the nation of excellence of drones. Think of the delivery of medicines by WakeMed and the difference that that is making. That is the only such program, the first such program in the United States. The Wireless Center is leading the operation of the Advanced Wireless Research Platform at NC State, which is supported by a $24 million grant from the National Science Foundation. The Wireless Center has become a birthplace for entrepreneurs. They have assisted over 20 businesses to get started in Wake Forest and over 60 throughout the Triangle. The economic development program called RIOT that they began a few years ago to facilitate entrepreneurship in the Internet of Things has grown to include over 8,000 members and over 80 sponsoring companies. The RIOT program supports startups, mentors them, and then connects them with capital investors. And we'd like to offer you an opportunity to learn more about the advanced mobility space. On your tables is a piece of paper that you can write your name and contact information if you would be interested in attending a meeting to learn more about a network of leaders who are working to develop infrastructure, governance, business support, and so forth in the advanced mobility space. We would like to include you in our discussions if you are interested. IoT, the Internet of Things, is now about 20 years old, and it is estimated that 20 to 27 billion devices were operating at the end of 2019. Data from these devices and the analytics capability that can be applied to this data is transforming every industry. This is especially true in the transportation industry. I had the opportunity to attend the NCDOT Transportation Summit in January. Wow, I was blown away by the statistics that I kept hearing, and I want to share a couple of them with you this evening that I feel are particularly affecting us. We're going to have to address infrastructure changes that will be needed for autonomous vehicles. Yes, they are coming, and infrastructure regulations and policies must be put in place over the next couple of years to keep us safe with them on the road. Electric vehicles are coming in spades. North Carolina presently has over 20,000 registered electric vehicles. By 2030, 60% of fleet vehicles will be electric, and 40% of individual vehicles will be electric. Before you know it, a lot of us might be buying transportation as a service instead of buying a car. For example, paying a company a yearly fee to pick us up and take us wherever we want to go. People will be able to save a lot of money by buying transportation instead of buying a car. But we're going to have to decide how to pay for our roads and how to maintain them. The gas tax system we have now will have to change. We need to be encouraging our legislators, you hear us, to get a mileage-based user fee system in place because we're going to need it. We know that changes young people want will impact transportation planning and allocation of resources. Young people want less parking and more transit. But we have to look at all the demographics and all the data to determine what we need to do in the future. Now I want to share something about a program I'm very proud that our town board has embraced and supports, and that is the Capital Area Food Network. We asked Drew Brown, our customer service supervisor, to head up our involvement, and he worked to establish a team of experts known as the Northern Community Food Security Team. They have been working now for a couple of years, and they are focused on food access and a sustainable food supply, among other things. The town has supported this work with employees volunteering, donating laptops to local food pantries, working with waste mitigation and composting, supporting the Tri-Area Ministries, and donating a truck to help with food delivery and distribution, and in many other ways. I also want to highlight two of our residents who have worked in this space for the past 3 or 4 years, Tilda Caudle and Joy Schillingsburg. These two women have been the leaders in establishing a summer nutrition program, and they carried it further by making sure meals are provided throughout the year, not just in the summer. Tilda and Joy were named Good Neighbors of the Year for the past 2 years. It's wonderful to have women like this in our community. The food security team has amazing goals for this year, including helping with Monday community meals every month, providing space for the summer nutrition program, food drives, and working with the team that wants to bring a pay-what-you-can restaurant to Wake Forest. We're very proud to support the work of this group. 2019 was a busy year, but it looks like 2020 is going to be a year of reorganizing, and it's going to be just as busy. In the transportation area, we are pleased that as part of the Wake Transit Plan, we now have a second bus on the Wake Forest Loop, which goes counterclockwise, and this gives us better access in a more timely manner. And we're going to be updating the route and making it accessible to more people over this year. Also, Go Triangle now offers a free Go Pass to seniors and to teens, which allows them to ride any bus system throughout the Triangle for free. And Wake Tech is announcing this week that they now offer a free Go Pass for all of their students and professors. So if you live in Wake Forest and you want to go to Wake Tech, you'll be able to get there for free. The Ligon Mill Road Bridge replacement will begin this year, giving us the pedestrian crossing that we need to when we begin our next phase of the Smith Creek Greenway. And this year, we're going to concentrate on smaller transportation projects, such as road connections and intersection improvements and access management. We have learned that just making more lanes and wider streets is not the only answer. And in fact, sometimes it's not even the best answer. NCDOT is working on the fiber infrastructure necessary for us to have all smart traffic signals around town, which allows for remote access and real-time active traffic monitoring. We are working with NCDOT with their plans to purchase the S-Line, which could result in commuter rail for us. You'll be hearing much more about this. And this year, we adopted our first comprehensive transportation plan. Prior to that, we had lots of transportation plans, roadways and greenways and sidewalks and so on and so forth. But in the comprehensive plan, we combined all modes of transportation because all modes work together, and we have to plan them as a woven palette if we want to make the most impact. We were pleased that our residents came out and gave us input during this process. And in fact, our consultants expressed amazement at the amount of participation we had from our residents. This spring, we are beginning another very important process. We will be updating our community plan. The community plan establishes the vision of how Wake Forest will grow over the next 10 to 20 years. It's very important for our citizens to participate in developing this vision, since it is one of the primary resources for establishing policies for our future growth. Specifically, the community plan is a guide to development regulations and the policies a developer must adhere to. We will also be updating the Northeast Area Community Plan. This plan is the blueprint for the future of this historic area. Now is the time to participate in order to help shape our future growth. Due to the changes made by the state legislature to planning regulations, we will be making changes in our planning and zoning processes and to the Unified Development Ordinance. These changes will hopefully make it easier for our residents to understand the process. And we are changing our Planning Board Academy to a Citizens Planning Academy, which is designed to educate citizens about planning processes and procedures. Since Wake Forest downtown is an ever-changing place with new residential development and the vibrancy of our businesses, we will also look at possible changes to downtown regulations and the municipal service district. We're talking about affordable housing and how we might have an influence in the development of it. We have begun this through an agreement with Focus Design Builders, who is developing a small affordable housing project off Allen Road. We expect to be able to work with other builders in the future. The biggest elephant in the room is, of course, the fire department. As you know, last year, the formal decision was made to merge the Wake Forest Fire Department with the town of Wake Forest. Staff has been working diligently all year to prepare for this merger by addressing operations, facilities, capital assets, and human resource issues, just to name a few. The town staff and the fire department staff are working together to make this a seamless integration to take place on July 1. We look forward to having the fire department as a town department and working with them in a new way. Just in passing, I want to say that you will probably be hearing quite a bit about sustainability and resiliency this year. When storms or other events occur, we need to be able to go through them and bounce back quickly, providing services and infrastructure for our residents. For example, we have a good track record for resiliency in our electric department. The town of Wake Forest began providing power to our residents in 1909, and we still distribute power to approximately 1/2 of our residents. How many of you are Wake Forest Power customers? Yeah. Well, all of you are going to want to be after I share with you what Chris Terrell, our electric systems manager, told us at the retreat. Wake Forest Power has a 99.9% reliability rating. That means the power is on 99.9% of the time. In average outages per year, they outperform everyone. Duke Energy comes in at 1.09 outages per customer per year. The co-ops average 1.3. Wake Forest Power is at 0.68. They also outperform everyone in getting your power back on. For the average length of an outage per customer, Duke Energy is 205 minutes. That's 3.5 hours, folks. The co-ops are at 142 minutes. Wake Forest Power average outage per customer is 34 minutes. I'm sorry all of you can't be on Wake Forest Power. In December, we did something different. Some people said it had been over 70 years. I'm not sure because I've only been here 38 years. But anyway, for the first time in a very long time, we did not have a Christmas parade. Suffice it to say, some received the news of the cancellation better than others. The eyes of not just our area, but the eyes of the world were on us, and not for good reasons. I heard from CBS and ABC and CNN, plus several other state and national media, along with even residents of California and Kansas and other places, wanting to know why we canceled our Christmas parade. Well, we can't do anything about the past, but we can move forward and set an example for other communities, for our region, and for our state. Now we have the opportunity to reframe the narrative. Let's talk about how we can do that. 2 weeks ago, I attended the Kingdom Diversity Luncheon at Southeastern Seminary. I enjoy this event every year. They always have a great speaker. And this year, the speaker was a dynamic young man who is an accomplished historian of Christianity. He shared that over the years, different cultures have sometimes found it difficult to understand Christianity because they speak different languages or they say things in a different manner. It strikes me that this is a challenge we all have. We don't always take the time to think about how what we say or post on social media is going to impact others. Instead, we sometimes say the first thing that comes to mind. Even though we may speak the same language, we come from different places and we have different perspectives. But reframing the narrative is simply a new way of seeing and describing the problem. We need to learn something from this. If we don't learn something new, we have wasted a great opportunity to grow. So as Wake Forest Downtown Inc. and the town work to put together a plan for this year, I want you to know that we're trying very hard to understand and consider the needs and concerns of all of our residents. And we need your help and the help of everyone in our community to continue being a community that cares about each other and embraces and honors the wonderful diversity of our residents. Please join me in recognizing that we may not always agree, but at the very least, we can respect each other. If we can all do that, just think of the impact that will have on our community. I challenge each and every one of you to be an agent of positive change this year. How many times can you post something positive about a person or an event or a business? How many times can you like something good that you see on social media? Let's all make a concerted effort to make our interactions positive this year and to demonstrate our care and concern for everyone in our community. Thank you to everyone for being here tonight. Especially once again, I want to thank the Rotary Club for your support and sponsorship. You help us be able to share with the community what we've been able to accomplish and what we plan to do in the future. Our citizens and the town thanks you. I also want to thank Betty Jo Shepherd, who's always here representing Senator Burr's office. And thanks to Representative Joe John and Terrence Everett, County Commissioner Matt Calabria and Sig Hutchinson, and School Board Member Heather Scott. Thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate so much your support of our community. One of the things that makes our community so special is how our citizens are so involved. We have great civic clubs that do wonderful things to help others. And almost all of our civic clubs have a program to work with youth, which teaches them the value of community involvement. We also have hundreds of people who don't want to be members of a club, but who want to work to benefit others and to make our community better. A couple of weeks ago, I was at a gathering of some of our volunteers, and I shared with them something I had read recently about volunteerism. And I want to share it with you this evening because every person here is a part of that army of volunteers in our community. None of you have ever learned to say no. And this is what I read. Volunteering is the ultimate exercise in democracy. You vote in elections once a year. But when you volunteer, you vote every day for the kind of community you want to live in. Thank you for wanting to live in a great community, and thank you for helping to make our community great. Thank you.